Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Euphoria, the AP studio which dedicated to uplifting and celebrating the diversity of TTRPG talent in UK and Europe. I'm so excited to be back for part two of our two-part Mappa Mundi one-shot. Two shot, I guess. We are playing a very exciting module written by the wonderful Cat the Law Mistress. It is called His Smile Sharp as Briar's Edge. Ooh,
Ooh.
so cool, so spooky. We are playing a special preview version, which was sent to us by our friends at Three Sail Studios. So please be mindful that if you're going to purchase this game, which I encourage, that you may find a slightly different version of this module when it's published. But we're very excited to get back into it. The gang have all been having a very exciting and spooky adventure. And let's introduce you to this wonderful gang. I will start with myself. Hello, I'm Michelle Kelly. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a mixed race woman with brown skin, long, straight black hair, and I'm wearing a necklace which looks like a silver oak leaf and a butterfly shawl in keeping with the nature theme of this game. And I'm just going to go around the screen as I can see you. So let's go to Angel.
Hi, everybody. I'm Angel Amore. My pronouns are any, all, and I'm a brown indigenous person of nondescript gender. Although, if you hear me talk, it's usually giving the vibe dude, and that's all cool with me. With long, wavy hair and heart shaped glasses with glitter etched into them.
Let's go to Ruben.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruben. I'm also using any all pronouns. I am a light-skinned biracial person. I've got short reddish hair. I've got a little bit of a tan going because I went to the beach once and now I have a million freckles more. Um, and I am wearing for the occasion a light breezy shirt with a tattered vest that I'm going to put up while I play mulch because I feel that fits the vibe a lot.
Lovely. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. She, her pronouns. I am Iraqi British woman with a short curly bob, big kind of black rimmed glasses, and I'm wearing a green long sleeve t-shirt with green overalls over the top. I didn't mean to go double green, but here we are. I went double green today.
Loving the double green. And last but certainly not least, Luyou.
Hi, what's up? My name's Luyou. I am an Asian American, she, her pronouns. I have mediumly tanned skin, glasses, and I'm wearing a gauzy striped struggle shirt because it's hot.
It's hot. It's hot. It's hot, but we live, we move on, we ball. I'm gonna try not to whinge about the heat too much, but no promises. So a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. I would like to mention some content warnings. This module is based on some folk horror legends from Central Europe. The game itself is not intended to be terrifying, grotesque, or gory, but there are some themes which you'll know if you watch part one of unreality, of unsettling visions, possible hallucinations, and a lack of clarity around what is real and what is not. We also have some themes of regret, of guilt, and of powerlessness. And if you remember what happened at the end of part one, there is also going to be peril involving water and possible drowning at the beginning of this session. Um, we hope that this game will be a lovely time for you. You'll enjoy the story, but if there's anything that comes up that's not for you, please keep yourself safe first. It's only a game after all, and we'll have another game here on Euphoria for you to join another time. And finally, last thing before we begin, I want to say a big thank you to Three Sail Studios. They are sponsoring this game. Hooray! Thank you to them. We absolutely loved Mappa Mundi when we played it as a one shot on the channel a few months ago, and we're so excited that Three Sail Studios has sponsored us to play this two shot. So let's get into it, friends.
Sceptered bow and stately gate, led through the dark we swim and fall. When we hear the siren song, mud cannot dim the tide of fate. Cloven hoof crown of thorns, tithes for a king atop his throne. Nixie court and silent town, when our paths diverge, the Koenig mourns. To pay tribute to the forest is foolish superstition. An axe looms o'er the head of this fearful apparition.
I will start with a little recap for everybody who maybe hasn't quite remembered everything that happened in part one. The four of you are chroniclers for the Mappa Mundi Institute, a nationwide, well, global institute, in fact, which has experts in exploration and cartography from every single country of the world, who go out on missions to investigate strange flora and fauna, strange ecological circumstances that are arising. You have finished one of your missions and were trekking through the Koenigswald forest on the continent of Domalov on your way to your next mission at the other end of the forest. You had been trekking for a few weeks, you were becoming tired and hungry when you came upon a strange town which was not on any of your maps. The people there seemed friendly and almost to a fault welcoming, encouraging you all to stay and eat and sleep, and you had a lovely evening before waking up on the forest floor, not sure quite where you were. You met a woodsman who introduced himself as Pfeiffer and said that he had been sent by the people of this strange village, Koppelberg, to track you down and make sure you were all right. He said that strange things had been going on in the Koenigswald and people had been disappearing. And he asked you to help him to find out what was going wrong. And of course, the good people that you were, you said, of course we'll help you. And you followed him through some very strange places. Sometimes the forest seemed beautiful and inviting. Sometimes it seemed unsettling and strange. Sometimes there were birds that changed into tadpoles. And sometimes, with no warning whatsoever, you found yourselves not in a forest at all, but in some kind of ruined town, before finding yourself once again back in the forest, unsure of how you got there. At the end of our last session, our chroniclers found themselves on the edge of a lake with still black waters like a void. They heard a scream coming from somewhere in the lake, and Yevla, Acelicine, and Mulch launched themselves into the water alongside Benuri, the very beloved dog with little wings, who often helps to guide Yevla and was helping to guide her into the water. Tawny stayed on the shore trying to find a way to build a raft to follow, but when she turned back to see her friends, she saw them just in time to disappear below the surface of the water. And that is where we rejoin today. Tawny.
Yes.
Tawny, you are safe here on the lake shore. You're safe because you didn't jump into the water, did you?
No.
No. You turned your back on your friends to make sure you could build a raft to keep yourself safe, didn't you?
I didn't turn my back on them. I had to turn around. How else could I have? I mean, it was a split second. I was just trying to help.
When was the last time that your resourcefulness failed to help somebody, Tawny?
I think Tawny overthought a situation where she perceived someone to be struggling or in trouble, and she went out of her way to create this thing to assist them, but it was the opposite of what they actually needed. It's like there was a split second when she was plugging up Yevla's ears where she had a thought of, actually, this is maybe a hindrance to Yevla if I'm plugging up their ears. And it just sort of like, am I helping? Am I making things worse? And then just this doubt crushing her, just, I don't know what, like, I'm doing everything wrong. I'm trying to do things right, and I end up making things worse. And she just has that thought going on and on in her head.
Estelestine, you are patient. You are thoughtful. You take your time with nature. But you weren't patient this time. You went plunging into that water without a second thought. Why?
I felt like I could only think of the one time that my patience didn't reach someone who maybe could have exercised some, and they got really, really hurt. And with someone calling out for help, it reminded me of them instinctively calling out for help. And I didn't react nearly fast enough at all, really. And I have just been thinking that maybe there were times when you don't just let nature run its course without assisting, even if that gets in the way. And I just jumped.
How does it feel to be pushing back against your instinct to let nature run its course?
I feel wrong and terrified, because if I can't just fall back on my instincts, then I don't know what to do.
Yevla, you have Estelestine at your side, you have Mulch behind you, and you have Benuri keeping you safe. Or you did. The second you were pulled beneath the surface of the water, you were alone. You're used to living in a world where vision is not the most important sense, where you can see shapes but not much else, but now you see nothing. No shapes, no movement, no light. And your other senses are not helping. Under this water, there is no sound coming to your ears, there is no smell to lead you, and you can't even open your mouth for fear of swallowing all that water. What about this scares you most?
I think the thing that I have always feared the most is not being able to pathfind. Not being able to, like, being lost is one thing, but not being able to know the direction that I can move, or something I can do to start on the path towards not being lost is the worst thing. I also think that having soggy mud in my ears is also not helping.
What will you do in this moment when you have no way of knowing which way to go?
This is a great question. I'm thinking back to what the mayor said. I'm thinking back to his arms shaking, his visage twisting, the pressure of his fingers digging into my shoulders as he said, "To pay tribute to the forest is foolish superstition." And what I think that I would do with no other guiding light of any kind is to desperately rack my brain to think of how in this situation I can pay tribute to the forest.
Hold on to that thought.
Yes?
Mulch. Mulch? Mulch? Can you hear me, Mulch?
What is this noise? What is
Mulch.
going on? Oh,
Mulch, why won't you help me?
oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Where did I put you?
Mulch,
I did. You had to follow the sign. I changed the sign, didn't I? I changed him.
why didn't you tell me you changed the signs, Mulch?
I did not change the sign. I did not change it. Oh, I'm going to be... No. You're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. There's no danger. You're going to be so fine. Just stay.
Mulch, I'm all alone. Why haven't you come to rescue me?
No one can find out. You're alone. You're going to stay. You're going to stay where you are. And you're going to remain alone. And someone will get you. But I can't leave.
Mulch,
I cannot leave.
Mulch, please.
I cannot. Where are you? I can't leave. I can send someone. I can maybe... I can't do anything. But hope.
Yevla, as you think to yourself, what can I do to escape? You feel the pressure of the water pushing into your eyes, and as you open them again, it's no longer darkness. You are back on dry land, somehow.
At the lake?
Not at the lake.
Okay.
You can sense the character of the air around you is different. You are indoors. And as you take a breath, you can feel that there is dust everywhere in this air. Well, in fact, why don't you tell me, how do you explore this place to try and find out where you are?
It's a dusty indoor space. And I can see and hear regularly. Oh, do I still have mud in my ears?
You have the opportunity to get that mud out of your ears now if you like.
I will do that for sure. Dig in there. Let's see. Where do I perceive light coming from? Natural or unnatural?
You get the sense there are windows around you. You can hear creaking of old wood, and you can smell mildew and dust and rot.
I think I would head towards the nearest light source.
Mm-hmm. You find yourself at a doorway. You were indoors and you're now seeing into the outside. And I think that creaking is louder now. And if you look up to the source of it, you see the pub sign that you've seen before for the Caged Bird Tavern.
Oh, okay. I go towards it.
So you are in the Caged Bird. The pub sign is above the door that you're standing in.
So I'm inside the pub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the doorway.
Is anyone else here?
You can't hear or see anybody else. You're all by yourself.
Can I try to recall the tune that the musicians were playing the last time I was here?
That's a lovely idea. I'm trying to think is there a particular skill you have you'd like to use for this?
I have memories. When navigating a place, I can sense memories from long ago. This isn't long ago, but it's the previous iteration of this tavern.
I love that idea. Why don't you try and use your memories to see what you can figure out?
Exploration. It's a 6.
It's a 6. You tell me, actually no, again, you tell me, what does it look like or feel like when Yevla tries to access the memories of this place?
So Yevla remembers where she was sitting when she had that conversation with someone last time she was here. She's going to find that exact spot. She's going to turn as if she's facing that person, and she is going to whistle the tune for the song that she heard. And I believe that this is also a song that other people have heard because it's the same sound as the birds and the bell from before.
Okay, you begin to whistle that tune, but as soon as you do, you start to hear the memory of a different song.
Oh.
and we will get to that in a moment. But first, Celestine and Mulch. You feel the water pressing your eyes shut. Mulch, you hear that voice that you were hearing inside your head fading away, and when you both open your eyes, you are standing in front of each other, also on dry land, somewhere else.
What happened?
I think we are okay. Just
Are
to
we
check, you did not hear a voice.
a voice? No. Did you
Good.
hear a voice?
No. It is of no importance. I think we are in a state right now, in one of those strange goings on with the ever since we met the boy, the Pfeiffer boy.
Right. I think longer than that. I mean, isn't it weird? We went to sleep in beds and we ate so much and we woke up in the forest. I don't know if Pfeiffer, well, I guess he could have. If he was even real.
What was the thing that Pfeiffer said to us? That he came as an envoy, a representative on
Right.
behalf of the people? Where is people? Where
The
is the people?
the town, but Yevla and I met the mayor and I mean he was basically gone. The town isn't supposed to be here. But also I don't know. Is Benuri with me?
Benuri is not here. And I think as you look around to see where he is, you start to adjust your eyes to where you are. You are inside what looks to be some kind of old apothecary. The air is thick with the mingling sense of decay and traces of herbs, the faint sweetness of rotted petals, the faint smells of long spilled tinctures. Around you there are desks covered in parchment, there's shelves with old bottles of things around.
Are we wet at all? Like, is there any evidence on us that we were in water?
No, you are dry.
Ugh, freaky.
This is just like the risotto I ate. Very good, but no remnants in my tummy.
Yeah, we should be soaking wet. I mean, we should be drowning. Where's the person? Well, I mean, I had heard someone screaming like we all did, but how did we? Is this real? And Nori goes to touch what's nearest, maybe just to grab a jar and see, first of all, if she can grab it. And if she can grab it, if she can sniff it and actually smell anything.
Okay.
Which randomly smelling jars of medicine, horrible idea.
But you gotta do what you gotta do in situations like this. Roll me an exploration check, please.
It's my D6. I got a 2.
Okay. So on a 2, I think that you grab a jar, and it has kind of some old, very rotted petals inside of it, it looks like.
Ugh.
It feels real in your hand. It feels solid. And when you take a sniff, you feel suddenly drowsy, as though it was overwhelming.
Can I have amateur botanist. Can I sort of like look for a remedial counteractive substance against sort of like this, what's Celestine is going through?
Yes, I like that. Can you roll the linked ability to amateur botanist for me?
Yes. Should I read out the description?
Yes, please, if you have it.
Yes. During your training, you paid special attention to the lessons of the flora of your home region. As a result, you know which flowers, shrubs, and trees can offer aid, and which ones spell poisonous harm. So I want to find like a smelling salt, a botanical smelling salt, essentially.
Okay. Which is it that you're rolling? Is it exploration, deduction?
It is exploration.
Okay, roll me that exploration, please.
Yes. I say to a Celestine, now is not the time to start huffing. I roll a 6.
A 6. Okay, amazing. So you are searching around and you find amongst the parchments in front of you what looks like the apothecary's logs, where they noted down what they had in stock here. And the parchment is faded, but you can just about read it. You see that there is an account in there of visiting a glade within the forest, and one of the ingredients there was a pollen that can cause drowsiness. It doesn't say, even with your 6, I think it doesn't say that there's a way to counteract this drowsiness, but it does say it is harmless. It will just make you feel sleepy. So you're reassured that Estella's Dean probably just has been hit for a moment, and it will fade away if she doesn't keep huffing the jar of pollen.
Yeah, I just
She
take
did put it back.
I'll take this from you. Just keep standing, try to raise your arms above your head, keep the blood flow gravitational.
Oh boy.
And Michelle, can I deduce that since we all had
Fake.
Gesundheit.
Oh.
Acting.
You had me going. Can I deduce that since we all like experienced some sleepiness, drowsiness upon like after we got to the tavern, that we were poisoned?
Interesting.
Oh.
by
I'm
this-
too drowsy in character and out to have made that deduction. That's excellent.
Let me think. I'm going to. Yeah, why don't you roll me a deduction check?
Ooh, deduction is not so good. That is a 1.
Okay. It's an interesting theory. There's nothing here which really gives you an answer whether to that was the case, unfortunately. So you just have to kind of sit with that thought. But before you can do anything else, let's jump over to Tawny, still standing on that lakeside.
Hello.
Hello, Tawny. You've been lost in your thoughts a little, perhaps, as you notice your friends disappear below the water. But as you're standing looking out, you notice the water ripple slightly, and Ben-Yuri's head pop up above the surface of the lake.
Oh, Ben-Yuri! She's gonna throw, quickly wrap some rope around, like, a big branch and sort of throw it out so maybe he can grab with his mouth and she can, like, reel him in.
Okay, roll me, unless you have the skill you want to use, then it would be a traversal, I think.
I can try and use resourceful again, which would probably be the right one for this. I got a 3. That's not too bad.
Okay, yeah, good. You throw this rope out to Ben-Yuri, and you can see that he's doggy paddling, but he's quite far away. You can see his little wings are flapping ineffectually, and he grabs onto that piece of lumber.
Oh, good boy! Pulling.
You pull
Yuri's
him.
quite big. I'm quite
Yeah.
small. Oh, are you okay? Oh, where's everybody else? What happened? Not that Yuri could really tell me, but trying desperately, holding this pooch's face between my hands when he gets to shore. What happened?
Ben-Yuri, he does the dog, the big shuggy, to get all of the water off of him. He is wet. Poor little thing, wet and cold from the water. So he gives a shake. And I think he's usually a pretty happy dog. He doesn't bark a lot. He just kind of pants and helps along. But right now he is whining, and his ears are down, and his little wings are drooping.
Oh no. She's gonna pace up and down the lake shore for a second. Okay, I need to think about what to do. Wait, Pfeiffer. Where's Pfeiffer? And can she see if Pfeiffer is like around? Because I realize he should be near there somewhere with us, shouldn't he?
Pfeiffer, you see him. He is crouched still by the lake, staring into its depths as though he too has been lost in his own thoughts for a while. I think when you call his name, he jerks and looks over.
Pfeiffer, you know these woods, this forest better than we do. What's in that lake?
Something very, very dangerous indeed.
Why did you say that before anyone went in? You have to help me. We have to get a raft, and we have to go in there. We have to. Oh, I don't want to have to go on the water. We have to get out there. We have to do it. So chop chop. Let's get a raft, and Benuri, you be a good boy and you stay on the shore because this is no place for puppies. Okay.
Pfeiffer says, when a lake calls out to you, do you think it's wise to answer that call?
Tawny has the biggest flashback to when she was a child and when her sister insisted that when the ice made all of those cracks and squeaks, it was talking to her. And she shivers. It's, in my experience, never a good idea. But my friends are in danger, and I have to. And she's going to very resolutely start dragging bigger logs, fallen logs and stuff, and just start kind of as quickly as she can, as her old wrists can manage, tying these things together to try and get out. Even if it's just small enough for people to be able to hold on to once they resurface, that's all she needs to get out there.
Pfeiffer stands and watches you and says, it is folly to go into that water. If you go there, I cannot follow.
Well, in that case, just stop standing there and help me at least tie some. Go grab that log. At least make yourself helpful. You can see she's getting more upset as she's desperately reckoning with her massive fear, but her fear for the safety of her friends.
Pfeiffer kind of frowns. He seems a little perplexed at being bossed around by this tiny woman. But he will kind of start to make towards one of the logs that you indicated. And he makes a small sound as he looks at something behind you. And if you turn to look, you will see that Benuri, who has been hunkered down low to the ground staring at the water, has turned tail and fled into the trees.
Oh, Benuri! Oh, shit! Oh, God. Okay. Drowning people, priority. Benuri should be fine. I will find him afterwards. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Yes. 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 Okay. Yes. And I think if she's managed to get enough things together, she's going to very shakily push this thing out into the water. Pfeiffer, you better find Benuri. That is your job now.
Very well. And he will turn to follow after the dog. Let's jump back over to Yevla. Yevla, you hear this music playing, and it's beautiful, and it does sound like the same musicians you heard before, but it's not the same song you heard before.
Okay.
You are hearing a song, a folk song. It's lilting, and it's long, and it has that kind of slightly repetitive, sort of calming tune that many folk songs do. But as you listen carefully to the words, you tell that, like many folk songs, it is created to be not just a story, but a warning. It warns of creatures known as the Nixie. And the lyrics of this song tells you that the Nixie are the transformed souls and bodies of those who drowned in the waters of the Koenigswald, and that they cannot be trusted.
Great. Perfect.
And that is the song you hear.
I listen.
Mm-hmm. As it ends, do you want to do anything else in this place?
Do I get the sense that there's something else for me here?
That's a good question. I think that the more time you're spending here, you're getting the sense that this is not the caged bird as you found it when you were here, what feels like a very long time ago. It was in fact just yesterday evening. Yesterday evening, the place was warm and it was cozy, and the furniture was well cared for. There was the smell of delicious food in the air. Now, as you've been sitting in the same spot, the wood feels rotten and sagging of the chair. Everything smells of mold. There's that dust in the air, and you realize this place feels as though it's been abandoned for years, if not decades.
Then I depart. Towards where? Great question. I think as I push open the door, I close my eyes and I just feel where, like what direction the wind is blowing, and I will head there.
Okay. You bravely head forward, back out into whatever there is to find in Koppelberg. Can you make me a traversal check, please?
Sure, it's a D4. It's a what?
It's a 1.
Yes.
Then you find yourself with your foot trapped around like a tree root.
Okay.
When you were in Koppelberg before, it was a cobbled street. It was stone and it was safe. Now there's trees and vines growing over the place. You trip, you fall forward, and once again there is nothingness. And let's jump over to Estellastine and Mulch.
How are you feeling?
Fine, just slow, just like when you've had one of those really long days where you did too much, but you can't go to sleep yet because there's still day to be had. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense, but it'll pass. Don't smell that stuff. Maybe we don't smell things without Benori here to check them. Did you see her anywhere?
I have not seen the little Hooch, I'm afraid. I am going to assume that she's fine. She is a tough pup, knows how to take care of herself. The most important thing is that we reorient ourselves and try to figure out why we keep zapping around. And actually, I will share with you a 3 fact.
Okay.
Maybe that will raise your spirit.
Okay.
Did you know that it is unclear if leaves know about themselves? Something to think about.
And as I turn around to investigate it, I'm like nodding, like as if it helped. I'm like very quietly. I'm like, well, that's fucking terrifying. But I love it also because I'm like, love a tree fact, terrifying tree fact. But I think Celestine nods and I just start to. I'm assuming the apothecary is not a dungeon, so there's windows. So I go to a window. I'm also assuming they're maybe not the cleanest, and I just wipe it off a bit to see if I could see if I recognize what's outside of it. Because I don't trust perhaps myself to explore in the apothecary as freely anymore.
All right. I don't think you need to roll for this. You're looking through a window. You can see the ruined town hall across and down the street that yourself and Yevla, you're pretty sure you found yourself in before. You can see the cobblestones of Koppelberg, and the layout looks similar to the place you were in last night, except that this is not the same town you were in last night, because the town you were in last night was in good repair, if on the older side. This place is being overgrown and reclaimed by nature.
Mulch?
Yes?
I think we're back in town, but will you look at this? And I gesture to grab and pull whatever's closest to look through this and point out the building I think Yebel and I were in, and how familiar it looks, but basically like convey what I've seen.
Yeah.
But it looks so abandoned.
There was a paved street that we came in on. They're not paved. It's not paved. And do I see the clock tower?
You can't see it from this vantage point, but you could go to the door and look out.
Okay. Before I do that, I want to sort of like give this place a last once over. You mentioned like an like a log of the apothecary. Is there any mention of like patience, essentially like some sort of illness, some sort of like peculiarity in a medical sense?
Okay. Could you roll me an observation check?
I would love to, because I have a d6 in it. Where's my d6? There it is. There's a 5.
Okay, amazing. You do find some logs of some patients who have come in for various minor ailments. The names don't mean much to you. They just seem like common names in the local area. People coming in with nausea, headaches, non-specific kind of symptoms. But you note that there's a particular type of paste, a sort of a salve that this apothecary frequently was requested for minor ailments. And when you note that, you see that there is a shelf that has 3 of these sitting still intact. So you can have 3 small vials of a paste which will heal a minor injury.
Celestine, I have found not a revolutionary thing, but I did find something that might help us as we are in this place.
Okay.
Are you hurt in any way?
No, I think I'm waking up slowly. I don't think I'm, and I kind of take stock to make sure, but I'm like, no, I'm okay. Are you okay? I'm sorry I didn't check when we got here.
Completely fine. Am I okay is a question for when we are out of the not okay situation, then we can have a talk about that. For now, here is a jar of a thing that will make you feel good if you're doing bad. I think... Well, actually, I'm not thinking anything at this point. I am trusting of your instincts, and I think so. Like Mulch shapes himself, and there's like a little reflection, and like like wipes some dust off of like the glass of a cupboard. Like looks at himself, checks himself. How do I look? Am I looking purportedly? Like how do I purport myself? And go like, I am in need of your instincts because I don't know what the heck is going on.
Right. I take the jars and I put them in, whatever bag pockets we've still got on us. But clearly at the word instincts, everything about me just deflated a little. Right, my instincts. Well, and then the only thing that I can't stop thinking about is like, well, we landed inside this apothecary, and I mean, everything that's been happening to us could be random, but maybe it isn't. And so I try to, as we're leaving, cast one last look around to see if anything jumps out at me as to if it was on purpose that we were dropped here. Otherwise, my instinct would be to leave. So I roll observation.
I'll give you this part without you having to roll. When you cast around, you notice one last thing that's out of the ordinary. You see carved into the wall, there is some kind of message, but it's not written in the language you two are speaking. It's written in a language called Diviner, which is used by people with divination skills. If either of you have that skill, you should be able to read it.
No, but Is there anything? Well, could I just and so I go past Mulch, and I grab and I say sorry, and I tear a piece out of the book, and I try to find a piece of chalk or charcoal or rock or dirt, if it really must be dirt, and try to either I don't. So you said it was carved, right?
Yeah.
I try to etch it kind of into the paper because I know that I have no idea what this says, but if I can get back to Yevla, then they might know what it says.
Amazing. Okay, so you're going to take a sort of a rubbing of this etching. Okay.
Very good.
Is there anything else you want to do in this apothecary before you head back out into the street?
Could I take some of the sleepy petals with me?
Yes, that is also my idea.
Roll me... what's this going to be? I think it's traversal. Roll me a traversal to carefully handle these.
I've got a
Do not
d6.
drop them on me.
I can't promise you anything until I roll this. Do I have to say what I roll?
Yes.
I'm dead.
That is usually how these games work, I'm afraid, Ruben.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
so dead.
well, it's my least favorite number. It's a 1.
It's so Jover. Here we go.
We're drugging ourselves in this apothecary. We're just out.
You go to take some of those sleepy petals, as you called them, and you hear inside your mind for a moment, Mulch, please don't leave me here.
I am not doing anything. I am out of this. And I think I just drop them.
I think you do. And the vial smashes. Both of you get a full hit to the face of this pollen, and everything turns to nothingness.
I am sorry. Bonk.
It's so fine.
Tawny, you were making your raft. You've sent Pfeiffer away to chase down Banuri after she ran into the woods. You are alone. What are you doing?
I think I have now got enough logs strapped together to at least kind of get me out there to be able to pull on people if they need to be. It's very crude, but it does the job. And very shakily, she is pushing it out onto the water, climbing on. She has sort of a branch with still got kind of sprayed edges and leaves on that she can use as a paddle. Right. Oh, and she's, if you allow me to have a lamp, I would love for her to kind of have a lamp on there with her. So if they are out there under the water, hopefully they can see the light and maybe head towards it if they're disorientated or anything like that. So she's gonna, okay, and just slowly paddle out to the middle. And can she see anything sort of if she looks over into the water?
Roll me an observation.
That's my observation. Okay, d6, okay. A 3.
Okay. You look down into the water, and although from the edge it looks black, when you look down, it almost looks as though there's clouds or mist swirling around in the water. But you can't quite see anything more than that from here.
I would love to use my touch interaction to, she's gonna close her eyes, take a deep breath, then just sort of put her hand or just her fingers into the water and see if she can feel or sense anything that she may not be able to physically see.
Okay. Which ability is touch?
That is
associated with?
traversal.
Okay. Roll me traversal.
Oh, a 4, which is my max
4.
on that dice. Hooray!
Okay. You're going to reach into the water, and as you do, it feels like cold air, not like water. It feels like you've reached outdoors somehow through a window. And as your hand is there, you feel the hand of somebody who has tripped land in yours as though you've just caught their hand.
She's gonna jump at like the sudden, like, oh my god, something is and she just out of instinct is gonna pull up as quickly and as hard as she can, just in case, and out of fear, and like the pullback reaction is just coming out. Whoever is attached.
You pull Yevla's head out of the water. We have drawn another journey card, and this one is the fog card inverted.
Oh, Yevla! Oh, and just grab and like pull on board this like wobbles around. Yevla, oh, are you okay?
I'm wet, correct? Okay. The absolutely rat wet, long hair, fur cloak, big soggy pantaloons, kind of lays like in a circle on this small raft. And Yevla looks up at you and she says, "You're on the water."
Please don't remind me. Oh, Yevla, I was so worried. And she's just gonna hug you. She's just gonna bring you in, just like give you a big squeeze, getting herself soaked. Oh, where are the others? Are you okay? She's gonna kind of do the whole touch over you thing that people do when they're worried about injury.
I never, when I was in the water, I did not sense like anyone else while I was there, right?
No.
Well, the others may or may not be in the water. I didn't sense that I was in the water before you pulled me up.
Huh. What do you mean? Where were you? I mean, it certainly didn't feel like water when I put my hands in. It was strange.
Yes. I think I was in the water for a bit. And then I was in a tavern. The same one we went to. And then I was outside, and now I'm here.
Can you both roll me an observation check?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's observe.
Do it.
A 3.
Ooh, another 4.
Okay. You, as you're talking, see out of the corner of your eye, Tawny, that strange swirling mist is now seeming to rise up out of the water. There is fog coming in from all angles. And Yevla, you can feel that change in the quality of the air around you as things start to get darker again in your vision. The fog here is rolling in. It is heavy and dense. It's almost hard. And it is surrounding you. Because you were successful on your roll, it does not do you any harm. In fact, you're able to stay on this raft as it seems to almost change. It's no longer a raft bobbing on water, but it is wooden roots and branches. And suddenly you are on solid ground, but in some other place surrounded by fog. And Mulch and Estelastine, you have fallen into nothingness, but at the edge of that nothingness, you think you see a lamp.
Yeah, I think I reach out to grab for Mulch and tightly and just try to go for that light as fast as possible.
I think Mulch is straight up just like out of it and muttering to himself, "No one can help you. No one should help you." And just dragged along.
Trying to tune him out because I'm like, the scary tree facts are one thing, but we need some vibrations in here that are higher than this.
And the four of you come together in the very, very pale lamplight of Tawny's lamp.
Oh, Mulch! Celestine! Oh, thank goodness! Are you okay?
Question for after we're out of the not okay situation.
Fair.
Good thing you said. Co-signed.
Yeah. And we just get out of the water as much and as fast as possible.
If I put my hand on Celestine's face, is it wet?
No.
I'm the only wet one. Right.
Why?
Well, hey now.
You and Benori. Benori was wet.
That's true.
Poor baby.
Speaking of Benori,
Where is my dog?
Celestine, I managed to pull Benuri out of the lake, but they ran off into the forest.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. I mean, Benori is honestly more trained than I am. She's been doing this longer than I have. So
I did send Pfeiffer after her too. So, hopefully they're together.
yeah, Celestine throws a glance at Mulch, who is, I don't know if you're awake enough or not, but I'm at the word Pfeiffer, I get a bit concerned. Because I'm not used to being distrustful, so it's very foreign, and I feel like I'm overreacting, but I don't know what my instincts say about Pfeiffer anymore. And I
That
share
boy
that
is
last bit. Mhm.
that boy is bad, no good. I tell you.
Bad? Oh.
What? I don't know about. Well, I don't know. Something's so wrong. We were just in this apothecary. Do I feel any drowsiness left over, or is it like it didn't happen?
Oh,
I think it's fading away, and you're feeling more like yourself again already.
We got drugged from. It just happened, and we
hesitance.
yeah we saw, but we saw the town again, and it was. I saw the building, Yevla, that we were in from the outside, but also the streets, and it looked like it had been abandoned for so long. It was so strange.
I did too.
I think as you're having this conversation, you just within the fields of your vision, just outside of the sort of the circle of the light this lamp is doing, you see the shape of Pfeiffer. And he is not talking to you or even really acknowledging you. He is playing a little wooden flute.
Oh no.
What's the
And
tune?
Oh no.
the tune is familiar to you, Yevla,
Oh no.
as the song you just heard in The Caged Bird. But let's do some shaping. Apart from that tune being familiar to you, what about this music or the way it affects the fog is strange?
Ooh.
Great question.
I have one thing. I think the tune, whenever it switches sort of like keys, the fog changes hues. So like a major key is sort of like a more of a sunlight fog, and then a minor key shift is like suddenly it becomes impenetrable and kind of like
Oh, that's
translucent and hard to see.
I would love if, as it's almost like as the tune is playing, there's almost like a shadow puppet theater of shapes sort of acting out, like almost like he's controlling what's happening with the music, and you just see sort of like people doing like an action, or like a town all of a sudden, or like birds and things like that as the music is playing.
Beautiful.
I think that the music channels the feeling of the person playing it very strongly. And right now, the strongest feeling that Yevla can perceive is loneliness.
Oh.
I think that as it curls, as it creates the shadow puppet theater, I feel like you can't see it because it shouldn't be touching us, but you feel like it is like occasionally breezing across bits of skin, and when it touches you, the feeling is stronger and it's cold.
And I think it's not just that, but every time it touches you in that shadow puppet theater, you think for a moment you see a shadow that looks like yours appear and disappear in the play. There's something else about this tune, which is that it almost feels as though there's some other sound, chattering, laughter, whispers underneath the music. And if anyone would like to try and figure out what that sound is, I'll need an exploration check from you. Luyou, did you want to say something first?
Is it of benefit if I already know what Nixies are? Does that help me with this?
It might. I'll tell you what, because you've heard this tune before, I will
Yes.
make your check level easier if you want to do the exploration check.
Exploration. It's a D6. Please, God. Question for Michelle. How do fate points work?
Okay.
Everyone but Mulch received one last time.
Mm.
I'd love to know, how do they work?
So what did you roll?
A 2.
Okay, so you could bring this up to a success by spending a fate point. What you're going to do is, if you have a coin there, you can flip a coin. If not, you can roll a d4, and we'll just say odds or evens. And if it's odds, it's going to improve you to sort of like, there's not really a mixed success in this game, but sort of a success but with a consequence. If it's evens, we're going to switch it to a successful roll.
Okay, do you want to call it?
Yeah, so odds is mixed, evens is success, so roll that d4, or heads, tails.
4.
Okay, so it's a success. We've pushed it up to a successful check. So is anybody else wanting to try and hear what's beneath this music?
I will try.
I rolled a 2, so I'm assuming I can't read him.
I rolled a 1.
Oh,
I'm also not listening, apparently.
What check was it?
It's an exploration, please.
Exploration. I'm not good at that. A 2.
A 2. Okay. So for the 3 of you who did not succeed this check, the music just feels like it's getting louder and louder in your ears until there's sort of this cacophony, and you can't focus. You can't quite get your thoughts in order because the sound is so loud. But Yevla, you have heard this tune before, and that allows you to just kind of know where it's going and filter it out a little bit. And you can hear that all of this music and chattering and whispering is covering up the sound of a dog barking.
Yes.
It's baby.
I head in the direction of the barking.
Okay. Are you bringing the others with you?
If they will let me do that.
Okay, yes, you all can follow, although obviously it's very stressful for you right now.
Holding hands. I think
Yeah.
Tony is insisting
lovely.
on holding hands at this point,
Oh,
so no one
Tony.
gets lost.
Yes.
You travel together through the fog. It's not far. Benuri wasn't far away, but just couldn't see anything. And she is cowering, and she is whining. If you what do you do when you see her?
I let go of Tawny's hand
Mhm.
to rush over to Benuri and hold her big face so we can do kind of a download situation of the way that we communicate from her entire lifetime long of practice. I check her for injuries. I want to see, is she wet? Is she cold? Is she injured? Is she just scared? What is she scared at? Which I also would ask her, if she can point.
So Benuri is giving the look that dogs do when they are racked with guilt. And you can tell that she is upset that she lost track of you in the lake, and she was trying to find you.
Wasn't your fault, okay? It wasn't your fault. There was magic or something, okay? It wasn't your fault. You're such a good girl.
She gives you a little nuzzle, and you realize that the harness, the leather harness that she always wears, is gone.
Oh, this is not great. Who took that? And it's also a genuine question. If you see who took it, tell me.
Venuri kind of looks over shyly towards the figure of Pfeiffer, who's still playing the flute.
Okay. Good girl. Good girl.
Okay.
Ruben?
We have a thing for Kuyevla, and I think that you might be able to do with it more than we can.
Etching.
Yes. God. I checked my pockets. Since I don't know what was real or not, I don't know if it's there. But if it's there,
I will say you have it. Do you have the diviner skill, Yevla?
Skill. I have whispers, intentions, signs of the wild, and memories.
Okay, so
Help.
you aren't necessarily also an expert in this skill.
Sure.
But if you all want to, between you, try and use a
Yeah.
deduction check to interpret this
Okay.
from
I
your
will.
combined knowledges,
okay.
any one of you can roll deduction, and it will be the average of who succeeded. And if enough people succeed, it will go.
3.
This
Okay.
is a 1.
4, 1, 3.
not
Mulch, are you
trying.
trying to help? You're not trying.
Mulch is like, this is not in the realm of tree facts.
Okay.
I don't need to know this. Anything I found in the apothecary made me or my companions either sleepy or sad. So I don't want this.
Okay. 3, 4, and 1. Okay, so that's this was medium. So you succeeded. So between you, as you kind of take this moment to rest with Venuri amongst this fog, you are able to piece together what this message said. And it said, I dreamt that a forest god walked through Koppelberg and demanded we leave this town and join him. Every resident, enamored with his presence, did as they were bid and hopped away. May fate protect us.
I'm getting some Pied Piper of Hamelin kind of vibes from this, with the flute and everything.
Oh, this is gonna sound so antithetical to everything we've been doing. But feeling my hands along this and feeling the kind of etching that says, may fate protect us. Yevla realizes 2 things. And Michelle, tell me if I'm not allowed to do this.
Mhm.
The first thing is that Yevla's hair is soaking wet. This is the principal way that she reads the wind. And that's been removed from her. But what hasn't been removed is fate. The comings and goings of fate I still have.
Mm-hmm.
I want, tell me if I'm not allowed to do this, I want to walk back through the fog and approach Pfeiffer, and I want to whistle the tune that he's playing on the flute.
Okay. Is this one of your skills that you're invoking?
Does it count as sing? Or something else? I can actually physically sing this rather than whisper it.
If you... This sounds mean. Thought boy monkey. If you sing this for me, I will let you use the sing interaction to do this. Yes.
I will sing.
That rules. Let's hear it.
I will sing.
Please.
Okay. So I'm listening to the tune. I hear like a I'm going to follow that. I'm going to sing Sceptered bow and stately gate, flute and lust, we swim and fall. When we hear the siren song, is this the way that we walk fate?
I got freaking goosebumps. That was amazing.
Beautiful.
Bellissimo. Peace.
Thanks. And like the fog is thick, I'm just walking to the sound of the music.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to roll. You walk
Okay.
towards Pfeiffer singing this song to him, and he turns and he smiles, and when he stops playing his flute to smile at you, the fog dissipates.
Ah!
And we will take a break there.
Ah! Yeah.
So
Sweating.
Oh my
This
god.
shell.
let's take,
This shell.
lads, we'll take a short
Let's.
break, everyone. Thank you so much for watching as our crew have a very normal time in the woods, and we will see you shortly.
Yay.
Hello again, friends. Thank you so much for joining us as we continue on this adventure through the Koenigswald. So, just before the break, Yevla sang beautifully, joining Pfeiffer's song for a moment, and he paused in the playing of his flute. And in that moment, he smiled. The fog dissipates, and you find yourself in a meadow. We're drawing the meadow card right way up. It is beautiful. It is full of flowers, yellows, and purples. And Pfeiffer is standing there amongst them, smiling still, holding lilac and indigo flowers in his hands. And he says to you, "Dream song. One whiff and the mind slips away."
He says that. I immediately started walking towards him, hand extended, going for his head.
Oh.
If someone wants to stop me.
Yes, I'm grabbing around the middle. I'm not terribly short, but I'm certainly not nearly as tall as you are. But I'm grabbing around the middle, and Benuri is assisting by sitting on your foot.
Oh, okay.
Yevla will approach.
Okay.
She won't immediately go to sniff the flowers, but what she'll say is, "When you sleep, what is it that you see? Are you trying to escape something? Do you want us to I gesture to the flowers, like, is this something you want to share with us?"
Don't sniff that.
He sort of just watches you. You asked a few questions all at once.
That's fair.
He's
Sorry.
thinking about, no, I'm not criticizing you, I am merely commenting. He's thinking about which, if any, to answer,
Sure.
I think. And he says, "I'm not trying to get away from anything. The Koenigswald is my home. I want to do a little bit of shaping here.
Okay.
I want to know from you, as the pollen in this air, which a Celestine and Mulch you recognize this scent of, is being breathed into your lungs. It is everywhere. You can't help breathing it in. You feel drowsiness coming over you. And what is it? Which dream that you've had in your past comes back to you, each of you, as you start to feel the drowsiness coming in?"
You know what? I think Yevla will start. There is something special about dreaming about a place you've never been. Yevla's entire life, she has lived in her father's homeland. It's only through stories, song, oral tradition, heirloom items, and such that in the waking world she can experience her mother's homeland. But because the human mind fills in the gaps, Yevla dreams about what that could look like, and the walking the lush kind of like region and smelling different things and perceiving like an entirely new way to live that's entirely false. It's entirely made up. That is the thing that she returns to the most.
I think Mulch has the same dream, the exact same dream every single night, which is that the tree that he is obsessed with. He is affectionately named Delta. It's a mangrove tree in the middle of sort of like a bay lagoon area. And in this dream, he's always approaching, never arriving in time for some perceived danger concocted by his paranoia. And the more steps he takes, the more sort of like the leaves of this mangrove tree enlarge, and you get to see the salt crystals on these leaves, because mangrove trees actually are able to expel excess salt through their leaves. And in this tree, in his dream, Mulch experiences the sense of. Well, let me put it this way: the first tree fact that Mulch has ever learned is that mangrove trees, through this act of expelling salt, are the only trees in the world that can cry. And he only wants to see it to stop crying,
Aww.
but he can never do that because of the nature of how its biology works. So he's always trying to protect it from something he can never really redeem or accomplish.
It's very sweet.
And he's just sweating buckets.
I'm happy to go next. I think when Tawny starts drifting off, she falls back into that space that she always inevitably falls back into in some variation. She dreams of her youth, when she was young, when her bones didn't hurt, when she didn't ache, when she could run around and have unlimited energy all the time. And always in those dreams is her sister. Her big sister is there, and they're playing, and there's, on the swings under the boughs of a tree, or running through a meadow like this one, and she hears her sister giggling softly, sort of like in the background as she starts falling asleep. And sometimes those dreams shift into her sister as an adult, because she doesn't know where she is. She hasn't seen her for many, many years. And she dreams about what she's doing, who she became, if she's safe, that sort of thing. And she just feels she can hear her sister as she slowly drifts into this soft dream.
Celestine doesn't always know that she's dreaming or asleep because she has such mundane, vivid dreams. And they're usually of the same format, which is that she's walking somewhere with Benuri, and as she falls deeper into sleep, she starts to hear all of her companions. She starts to hear a tree fact, or especially because she's asleep, so they're usually nonsense. And she can't remember when she wakes up anyway, but they'll be, ridiculous, but they sound right enough, and she'll feel Yevla's presence close by with Benuri between them, and she'll hear Tawny's sniffle, or she'll hear her hurrying to catch up and the tinkle off of her bag. And they just are walking, usually to or from something. And the only difference between a dream ending and turning into a nightmare for her most of the time is whether everyone is still with her when it ends. So that's what she starts to hear, but it starts to conflict, which is sometimes a bit confusing when she's falling asleep while you guys are traveling, because she can't tell if one of you has just started speaking or if she's drifting off into sleep. And so now, whatever would be her normal, whatever reactions anyone is having, they're mixing in with a tree fact, or Yevla wanting to share something, or asking a question, or Tawny sharing a story, but of course in nonsense language.
Those dreams are all so comforting in their own strange ways. The explorations of worlds, the sounds of the people you love around you, or the people who have left you coming back. That tree that needs you to protect it, it would be so easy to follow into that dream and let it embrace you and hold you here. But as you start to drift off, you have one chance to try and push your mind back a little before this pollen overtakes you. If anyone would like, you can try and either do a deduction check, or if you have a skill that relates to botany or working with plants, you can use that.
Ooh, I do.
I do.
Yes, same.
Ooh, okay.
Amateur botanist.
Okay. Let's go one at a time then, just so I can keep track of who's doing what. So, Celestine, you're using your botanist skill, amateur botanist.
Yep, so that's exploration, d6. Please don't be a 1 again. 3.
Okay, 3. Ruben, Mulch has, I know, a botany skill.
Would like to roll that.
A 1?
Yeah.
A little 1? A little bit of a 1? Little bit of a 1. Okay.
A little bit of one. Anyone say
Emily, does Tawny have a skill?
Yeah, she has "Don't eat that," which has an exclamation mark at the
Great.
end.
Yes!
Incredible.
Slap it out of your hand.
Perfect for this. Yes. Don't inhale that.
Don't
Direction
stick
of a
that.
dog. Seeing a dog eat chocolate. No.
And that's also a deduction skill. So let's see. She got a 4.
4. Okay. And what about Yevla? What is Yevla doing?
Michelle. Not only does Yevla not have anything specifically for this, but I think that sleep and dreaming are large parts of divining fate. I'd like to not roll. I'd like to lean my full face into the bouquet of flowers that Pfeiffer has and keep my eye on him as I fall asleep.
Okay. I do still want you to roll, though.
Sure.
I want you to roll an observation to see how well you can watch
Sure.
Pfeiffer as you fall asleep. I do like this, though.
It's a 6, yes!
Yeah.
Eagle-eyed.
Okay. Beautiful. A 6. Wonderful. Okay.
Or perceive instead of watch, but you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. So, Mulch, with your 1, you try to resist with your mind, but it's just so overwhelming that you feel the twinges of panic coming in at the edges. You feel that the only way to get out of this is to physically lash out. And I think you feel the instinct to go towards Pfeiffer again with your hand out.
I think.
But go ahead.
I think Mulch just kind of like acutely aware that the entire party has been just like fucked with, and there's this unreality dreamscape, like boundaries being crossed constantly, keeping him away from Delta. Each passing minute, not sure if a minute is actually an hour is a day, and just like approaches, but like, have you ever seen like a very tall person just like run? Just like sprint towards someone, like
Horrifying.
big steps, almost just like Olympic, jumps, and just like both hands trying to get both hands around his head.
You do this, and I think Yevla, as you're trying to keep a sense of what's going on, you can hear and feel in the ground the thundering of Mulch charging towards, and you can see this huge figure who wants to protect so much attack. But Mulch, you do not make contact with Pfeiffer. The Nixies are here, and they grab your arms. And that is as much as you're able to see for now, Yevla. Celestine and Tawny, you both are succumbing to that sleep, but you're thinking and pushing back mentally against what's happening. And you are able to make some connections. You have begun to suspect that Pfeiffer has been manipulating you in some way. And as you inhale this pollen, you realize why it feels familiar. It's not just because you smelled it in the apothecary, Celestine. Everything you tasted, everything you ate and drank in the caged bird had this faint, sweet smell of this pollen. You see Pfeiffer as he crouches down by the lakeside, staring into the waters as though lost in thought. But you see him differently now, Tawny. You see that he is reaching into the water as if signaling to the creature within to do something. You see yourselves in that clearing with those strange birds that were landing on him and communicating with him, and you understand that they were attending to him. You understand that Pfeiffer is not just a person in this forest. Pfeiffer is very much part of this forest as you slip into sleep. And the four of you awaken. Mulch, still with the Nixies holding on to you. They are strange. They are floating. They are not quite tadpoles, but almost tadpoles with arms and legs growing as though somewhere between tadpoles and frogs. They are chattering and giggling, and they are gripping you. And Mulch, you have a minor injury here from being waylaid by these Nixies that are clinging on to you. The rest of you see yourselves back in that ruined town square of Koppelberg. More like how you saw it the second time, those of you who did. The stone buildings crumbling, the vines and the tree roots crawling in, the scent of sap in the air. You see the clock tower with the bell cracked down the middle, broken at the bottom of the tower. You see the door of the caged bird and of the town hall creaking in the wind. You see that statue, that stone statue of a throne that was in the center of the town, beginning to groan and shift and transform from stone into tree bark. And as it all changes in front of you, the town has been reclaimed by the forest. And Pfeiffer approaches over to you, stands in front of his throne, and says, "Welcome." We are now in the encounter phase.
Ooh.
When you encounter a creature in Mappa Mundi, as chroniclers, your aim is to discover as many behaviors, as much information as you can about this creature before you either enrage it or scare it or hurt it or something that makes it run away or leave you or perhaps attack you. The way that we track this mechanically is that we have something called threads. This creature has 8 threads, and one of them is already severed.
Oh.
If all of the threads are severed, then the encounter phase ends. You can
If all
use
8 are
whatever.
severed?
If all of them are severed, the encounter phase will end immediately. If you try to discover behaviors and it goes wrong, or if you use an investigation tactic, which is a poor choice, then you risk either fraying or severing a thread. Frayed threads can be repaired by successful rolls. Severing, once it's gone, it's gone. And your aim is to try and discover as much as you can about this creature that you have encountered. That will give you what the information you need to be able to protect yourselves and do what needs to be done. And you can try and discover, either you can just use one of your straight up ability checks, you can use your interactions, you can use anything you can think of to try and learn about this creature. And I will tell you, you have already uncovered one of the behaviors. because of Yevla discovering the song of the Nixies, you already know that Pfeiffer is attended to by Nixies. The Nixies are his courtiers. They are forever around him, chattering and whispering and taking his orders. This is the scene you find yourself in, with Pfeiffer standing in front of his throne, surrounded by Nixies, except for the ones who are holding on to Mulch. And whoever wants to try something, go ahead.
I have something I would like to try. Seeing as I'm sort of like being restrained, I would actually like to use my interaction provoke to keep all attention that is already on me, so that my companions can have the sort of like the range, the freedom to uncover all these threats.
Amazing.
And I have a little bit of spice. I don't know if
Give
this
me
is
the
possible.
spice.
I would like to compound this with an ability I have, Soft Steps, which lets me be like preternaturally quiet when I move around, and I want them to think that I'm not physical, or like that I don't, that I'm more dreamlike than I appear, because the fact that I don't produce sound as I move around.
Okay, I think the way I'm going to resolve this is I want you to use your soft steps first, and this is going to be to get away from the Nixies by convincing them that they can let you go, you're not a threat, and then we can do the provoke after you've loosened the Nixies' grasp on you. How does that sound?
That makes perfect sense.
Amazing, let's roll those soft steps. Which ability is it, please?
Soft Steps is traversal. So I'm gonna roll that. Should I read it out, by the way?
Yes, feel free to, yeah.
As you stalked cats, surprised dogs, and carefully inspected birds, nests in your youth,
Tadpoles.
tadpoles in my youth, you became accustomed to treading softly, lest you reveal your presence to your target. Despite whatever armor you might be wearing, it's unusually easy for you to creep close without alerting others to your presence. And I want to use like the fact that I'm quiet to be creepy to them, essentially. That is a 6.
Okay, incredible. Why don't you shape this for me? Describe for me how you do this to get away from the Nixies that were holding you and get closer to Pfeiffer.
I like to think that because just like I'm very physically just like of stature and hard to restrain, I think I take a step and you see sort of like the flowers, or it's like the grass that kind of move underfoot, and you would expect that to, the way that I'm sort of like trying to get away, like just like jutting away almost, makes you think like, oh, there's sound coming from, but just like no sound whatsoever. And I want to make it seem that, with each step, it's like I'm almost getting lighter, and I'm like sort of like hanging. I'm sort of like hanging back and moving forward, as if like falling horizontally, if that makes sense.
Yes, beautiful. And I think the Nixie is still chattering and whispering and giggling as you're moving so softly and gently. They kind of lose interest in you, perhaps, begin floating around and taking a look at some of the others, and you're able to slowly move towards Pfeiffer without them noticing. And now, please tell me, how are you going to try and provoke Pfeiffer?
I am going to like get as close to as I can, until I'm sort of like within like eye contact range. And I think because song is so important to him, I want to be as discordant as I can. So I just start yelling.
Yelling, yes. Give me a taste. What do you mind your microphone? But what do you yell at him?
This forest is not my favorite. Don't like it here very much.
Incredible. Roll me that provoke, please.
Amazing.
Which ability is it? Sorry, for provoke.
Let me look that up real quick. Oh no. But as an interaction, that is
traversal or deduction, apparently.
Oh, then I'll take the traversal one.
Okay, go with traversal.
Come on, it's a 1.
A
Oh
1.
no!
Okay, you get softly close to Pfeiffer, then you pop up and begin singing about how you hate this forest. And Pfeiffer doesn't really react much. He just, without even turning his head, flicks his eyes to look at you. And vines lash out and smack into you, knocking you backwards away from him. 2 threads are instantly severed.
Two more.
Yes.
Dang.
And
So dead.
Pfeiffer
Oh.
no longer looks peaceful and calm. Now he looks angry. And he looks down at you, Mulch, but he does not speak. He simply looks.
Okay.
While you're recovering from being knocked down, does someone else have something they'd like to try?
Celestine has been experiencing some new emotions she has not dealt with before, because she understands fundamentally that nature is not fair, because nature is not about being fair. Nature just is, and it wants to survive. And if something is in the way of survival, it has to not be in the way anymore. It's not about fair. It's not about if it's nice. It's just the way that it is. It's not personal. With sentience, however, comes a contract of coexisting. Now, it doesn't seem to her that Pfeiffer needs to do whatever he's doing in order to survive. He seems fine. He's got the Nixies or whatever those things are, because Celestine's never encountered them before. He has a forest. He has a town full of people, allegedly somewhere, somehow. And she kind of understood when she met the mayor. She was like, okay, not to be unkind, but if you are warned, hey, you need to pay tribute to the forest you're building in, pay some respect, and then you don't, and you're quite rude about it, and then the forest and its being take you. She understood how that could happen. It's not very nice. It's not very nice of her. She, on some level, she knows that, and she felt for them, but she did understand why it happened. But they have been nothing but reverent to the until now. Reverent to the forest. They have done nothing but lead lives of reverence to nature. I mean, even with this, she knows Mulch's entire life is dedicated to Delta. And on top of that, he still cares enough about the rest of the world to come with them and be, part of Mappa Mundi. And they got along with Pfeiffer. They treated Pfeiffer with no suspicion, no rudeness, no, even when they should have. And she's experiencing, for the first time, righteous fury to the point where she is shaking. Because she was holding on to Mulch, wrapped around him with Benuri when she got dosed with the sleeping powder. And she basically just slid down like sliding down a tree trunk and ended up passing out on the floor because he also walked out of holding range. She couldn't have held him anyway. And so she's on the floor. She's looking at all of this. She sees them hit Mulch. And she also realizes, moderately horrified, that she is somewhat not only angry, she seems to be a bit of an angry crier. Which she does not like very much. But she's shaking and her eyes are wet and she's trying to keep it in because she knows that her job is not to get angry at nature. Her job is to trust her instincts to keep her safe, learn about nature, not mess with nature, not ruin anything, and move on. But she just can't access that past the indignation, and out of her mouth just comes this extremely tight, much louder than she thought it would be. That's not fair. Right at Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer scowls down at you and says, you respect the forest, you pay tribute to the forest, or you are punished.
What were we doing with you if not paying our respect to nature? We even tried to find a way to help those who are already lost pay retroactive respect just because that's the way it should be. You took us without testing us, and now we're here, and you don't get to hurt us. We've done nothing wrong.
I want you to roll for me, Celestine. Do you have an interaction that you think this falls under, or shall I just give you an ability roll?
Let's not play. But it could be it could be protect, because this righteous fury comes
it's
from
good.
Yeah.
It's
wanting
I
to
like-
protect everybody.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Which
Okay.
ability is protect linked to?
Traversal, which is a D6 for me.
Okay.
I am
that's good.
absolutely sweating bullets right now, physically.
It's gonna be okay.
So warm.
You also have a fate.
This is true, and I will need to use it because I rolled a 2.
Okay.
Let's go.
Probably using my fate point.
Roll me
not
that
messing
D4 or flip a coin, whichever you're doing.
I got a... Where are you? 3.
3. Okay, odds. So you're going to improve your situation here. So you argue this point that you were taken without testing and you've done nothing wrong. And Pfeiffer doesn't open his mouth, but you hear his voice inside your head, Celestine, saying, all of this was testing you. I've got to know you. I know that you don't know which instincts to follow anymore. I know you care about that little dog you think of as your dog, as though you have a right to own anything from nature's world. I know that you are afraid. You don't need to be afraid. You have uncovered the behavior mind reader.
Should be fucking better at it then.
But he is displeased with this pushback, and you have also frayed one of the threads. That's the sort of complication. It's not severed, it can be repaired, it's frayed.
Well, let's try to pair that thread. So, okay, I have 2 kind of conflicting thoughts, so I'll just pitch them both to you, and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I know I have the deed to Copperberg. However, and that's like a gift function, it's an interaction that I have.
Okay.
However, Yvla doesn't believe that that's the only thing he's seeking, because from the moment we've interacted with him till now, everything about, even though he's attended by Nixies and all this other stuff, everything about the way that he is sort of like communicating with us is like in the manner of one desperate to show something that they've never had anyone else perceive that like could care or understand. Is there a way for me to gift this without being like a fealty thing? Is there a way for me to gift or interact with Pfeiffer in a way closer to like a confidant or a friend and less like a subject?
Interesting question. I'll tell you what, why don't you roll me a deduction and see if you can think of a way to do that.
Oh my gosh, it's a D4 and I have no rerolls. Okay. 4! Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm so scared. Ah.
So,
Okay, I'm gonna say, you can tell that Pfeiffer very clearly is a creature that is not human. Clearly. He does not see humans as equals. He does not see anything in the forest as his equal. He is the king of this place. And he sees any interaction as an act of fealty or as an act of intransigence. So you look thinking about this. You think I can maybe give the gift, and it might give me information that's useful if I try this. But I can't necessarily be sure that he will take it as anything other than me giving tribute to him.
Okay. How about these fucking apples then? I'm going to approach him. I'm going to approach him with the deed to Copperberg. This is a gift, not, I guess it's like second hand from us, but really it's from like the previous residents of Copperberg. But I have something else that I can give him too. And I'm not going to have this count as like a second one. I'm not going to push against that. But my sopping wet hair falls near my ass as I pull out the branch that I have, one of the only things that I brought with me from my mother's homeland. This is something that's not of the forest. This is something of mine. Can I lump this in with this paper deed in a way that shows like it's not just the action of giving a tribute, like to prostrate myself in front of him, but this is something that's actually like a branch of understanding, attempted understanding.
More like diplomacy than like groveling, I think, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you say you're using an interaction, the gifting?
I am.
Okay. I am not going to ask you to roll here. So when you found that deed, that was an item of great import to Pfeiffer. And if you give it to him, he will accept it without you having to roll. I like the other stuff you have done. So what I'm going to say is that you hold these things out. Do you explain, or do you simply hold them out and allow him to make the connection?
You know what? Let's do a little bit of both. He probably knows what the deed is. But as I hand this branch to him, on it there are some leaves, like growing leaves from the homeland, and also like a little, I'm referencing my character art, like a tied little thing of like things like dried berries or like a bit of resin or things like that. I want him, master of the forest, sniff this, like perceive it in ways other than just receiving this, like learn something about somewhere else. That's the manner in which I present it.
Okay, he takes these things from you, and he is pleased. He is very pleased. He takes the deed and he holds it in one hand, and he says, "Humans so foolish, thinking words on paper decide what owns the forest. The forest decides what owns the forest." And then he takes this branch that you've given him and he examines it, and he does smell it, but he also feels the texture of the bark and the other things around it, and he listens to the sound of it creaking and cracking in his hand, and he smells it, and he takes all of this sensory input, and he says, inside of your mind, Yevla, learning about the world is why I adore travelers. I don't want to hurt you, I want to welcome you. It's been so wonderful to learn about you and the way you put on such a brave face, always trying to meet people with care and compassion to hide your fear. You are so fascinating to me. And this has repaired one thread.
Thank God.
You have uncovered the behavior royal, which is that the forest pays tribute, which you had obviously already suspected. This has confirmed it. And because I just love what you did here, I'm also going to give you a fate point, Yevla.
Oh, amazing.
Nice.
But Tawny, you haven't taken an action yet, so is there something you'd like to do?
I haven't. So I would definitely like to use my interaction read. So while all this is happening, I'm witnessing everyone sort of say their piece, do their thing. I would love to use read to sort of see where he's at now after everything that's been said and done, just to get more information about his behavior in general.
Okay, fantastic.
That is a deduction. Oh, a 6. Oh my
A
goodness.
6. Okay, I love that. I'm gonna ask you I'm gonna give you a binary choice, I apologize,
Oh,
of
you're
these
good.
2 things. Are you trying to read more about Pfeiffer and his state and, like, maybe his internal state? Or are you trying to read sort of, like, what he looks like, his bearing, sort of more external factors?
I think the internal, sort of like where he is with his behavior and his feelings, especially his feelings right now, I think.
Okay. So you can see that he is very pleased by the gift that Yevla gave, but he is distressed by the resistance he has otherwise received from your fellows. There is still aggressiveness in the way that he is approaching all of you. Aggressiveness you didn't see any other point during this journey, and you can tell that perhaps he's trying to impart more presence and to almost intimidate or impress you all into showing him the reverence he is sure he deserves. He steps forward as you are looking at all of this, and the light of the moon shines down and seems to shine straight through him. The light pools on the ground below him as he lifts his arms above himself, and his skin begins to glow and gleam and glitter, making him into something otherworldly, as he places the branch that Yevla gave onto the back of his head like a crown, almost like an antler upon his head. And you have unlocked the behavior ethereal.
Oh.
That he seems to exist between the worlds of what we know as reality and the world of dreams, and is able to move freely between them.
Above the table, just to make sure I'm counting it right, that's 4 learned behaviors. Is that correct?
That's correct. You have unlocked 4 behaviors.
I think Tawny, seeing everything that's happened, seeing how tense Pfeiffer has gotten before with the outbursts and sort of the sort of olive branch almost that Yevla has sort of provided, she's going to take a step forward and bow in front of Pfeiffer. My lord of the forest, do forgive the young ones. They're rash. You know how it is when young sprouts, they see a bit of sunlight and they burst through the soil without thinking about the plants around them, sometimes smothering them in their excitement. I know you know this. But I, like yourself, I've grown roots. I've seen things. I've seen all sorts of things. And I would like to reach out to you, and if you would sit with me, I will share my experiences with you, which are many, if you would like. But people will not share their best experiences when they feel threatened or scared. You cannot help a flower grow if you keep it in shadow.
That is beautiful. Do you have a certain interaction you're aiming for here? Or is it more?
I think after the read, if she's able to, I would love to, as she bows and kind of gets closer and reaching out a hand, I would love to use touch if he would allow her to sort of like take his hand.
Let's find out. Let's roll that touch.
You can do it.
Okay, so I got a 2.
Okay. Do you have that fate point?
I do have that fate point.
Let's do it.
And I do have a coin. which is
Okay.
a mimic
Oh,
on one side and a chest on the
I can't look.
beautiful.
Ah!
Okay. Chest is going to be full improvement. Mimic is going to be something consequence.
I'm spinning. It's unfortunately mimic side up, but
Okay. All right.
we will see.
So you have still improved your situation.
Okay.
And I love this approach. You reach out your hand, and Pfeiffer takes it, but in the way of a king taking a subject, presenting his hand, and he holds it. As you hold his hand, do you take it and hold on?
I do.
As you make that connection, you hear the voice in your head, but it's not as sonorous and threatening as the others have heard. It's more gentle, and he says, "You are wise. I know how you fear letting others down. I know how you feel responsible for your sister's disappearance. I know you don't want anyone else to disappear. I don't want anyone else to disappear. I just want to keep people here with me in my forest. But I don't want people to grovel at my feet in attempts to manipulate me. I want them to show me true reverence." And as he says this, he lets go of your hand, and his form begins to change. With a smile and a gesture, that branch of Yevla's is swallowed up into more and more branches, trees growing out of his head into a beautiful crown of antlers. And he leans forward, his limbs stretching and unfurling like the boughs of more trees, his hands turning into long fingers which grip the earth, his back legs becoming hooves, and he stands up, an enormous stag of the forest, the Earl King. And the Earl King says, "Sit with me," and sits down upon his throne of leaves and trees. You have unlocked the behavior Shapeshifter, but in doing so, you have frayed a thread.
Oh, afraid. Okay. Not quite severed.
I'm afraid.
Oh, we're all afraid. Beautiful, Tawny. So you're all seeing the Earl King as in his true form now ahead of you. Would anyone else like to attempt to uncover more about him? Mulch, you haven't done much since you were smacked down onto the ground. Have you managed to get back up?
Mhm. Yeah, I would like to sort of like sit back up again, and if I can, use one of these poultices salves to heal a minor injury.
You can,
kind of-
yes.
Just kind of like dip in and just like whoop over my face. And I think I'm also been staring at sort of like the moonlit sky after being smacked down, kind of like going over like what did I do wrong? Well, everything. And seeing this this like changed form, hearing, perceiving, sensing like the way that his companions have like started communicating, ameliorating the relationship with nature here. And he realizes one thing: he cannot force himself to care about anything that isn't Delta, but he can share something so interior and true that I think it can it corresponds to like feeding, almost like if the Earl King wants experiences, then I want to sort of like feed an experience to him. um, so I think I just kind of like sit down cross-legged, I look at everyone, cross my arms, and go, okay, so I will not do the yelling anymore, but what I will do is ask a question. Are you alone? Or are you lonely? Do you keep people here because of you require the tribute, you do not want anyone to leave your territory, which is quite a human concept, out of grandeur, stature, or because you, like me, are a very lonely individual. Not even an individual. I do not see myself as part of anything but this one very, very nice tree that I know. It is a tree that can cry. It is a tree that I only try to comfort and cannot comfort ever. It is a tree that I have caused loss for. And I think I want to project, like, sort of like tapping into the mind reader behavior. I want to like project the idea of the puppet shadow theater in my head of someone like walking through a forest, the way that this one archivist got lost on the way to Delta. Project that, overlay that with like how we were constantly lost, how we were afraid. Loneliness is a powerful reason to bind people to you together. It is also the worst thing you can force someone in a company, out of company. And what is... we cannot have a conversation if we are constantly trying to appease you and we do not understand you. I want to show you what it is to feel lonely on a way that is personal and doesn't have to owe itself to nature, to be true to yourself. I am not a clever guy. I am afraid, I'm afraid of you, but I'm not going to swear fealty to you. But I want you to understand that you cannot keep us here any more than you you can claim to be a boundary of the forest, be in charge of the forest. You have to let go. You have to let go.
I want you to roll something for me, Mulch. Do you have an interaction or skill you'd like to use, or shall I just give you an ability roll?
I think, because in my head that made a lot more sense than the way that came out, but I think I would still like it to be feed.
Okay. I
also
like
have-
that because you know that he wants to consume your
You're
stories.
feeding a memory.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. What's the connected ability to feed?
A feed is a traversal or exploration, and I would like a traversal.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. You're showing your journey. You're feeding the journey you've all taken. Roll me that traversal, please.
Here we go.
Dice trays.
I missed my dice tray. Can I re-roll?
Yes.
Okay.
No further questions, you may.
That's a 6.
Okay. You tell this story. The Elk King has only been speaking inside of your minds, but now he speaks, and Pfeiffer's voice comes out just the same, even in this new form. It's almost enough to make you all forget that he is not human. As he says to you, Mulch, you know what it is to love a piece of nature so much that you would sacrifice a human life to feed it. Do you not?
I do. And I have.
And yet you are not willing to do the same when you meet a creature who feels that same love?
Can I not exist with my love, for my love, with nature, without having to pay an ultimate price for it?
The archivist who you destroyed and never went to rescue paid an ultimate price, did they not?
They did. They did. And every step I try to take back to Delta is one, I have to tread the same paths that I know wound that archivist path. In that same sense, I've ensured that it cannot happen again. I've blocked it and returned it, the memory, the experience, the secret to you of, we can call it hypocrisy, of someone who really, really needs to stay alive for one thing, throws other people's under the buses. Wait, there are no buses here. Throws the people's under the carts for another, and then comes to realize I should have yanked that person away from the cart. And now I look you in the eye, my dear king. Why are you throwing us under the cart? Why are we not allowed a step back? Why are we paying your ultimate price that you're asking based on wounding reality's paths that we cannot even begin to form a proper story of? Trying to tell this back to Mappa Mundi is going to be impossible because essentially we're going to be teleporting all over the place. And what you are testing cannot prove anything to us except that we are failing you.
The Earl King listens as you speak. And as you speak, the nixies that have been tending to him stop chattering, stop giggling, stop laughing and whispering, and gather around as well and listen. And you see in their bearing something of shadows of a friendly barkeep, a talented musician, people who took a place that they wanted to make theirs and were given a choice and chose to stay no matter what it meant. And the Earl King looks at the four of you and he says aloud, "You will never be convinced to stay." And he roars an animalistic, pained roar which echoes through the entire forest. The sound of it knocks the four of you back into nothingness. And when you awaken, you feel the forest has released you, unwillingly, like a long-held breath, as though it had no choice but to let you go. Once again, you feel heather beneath your feet. You are back outside, but you're no longer within a forest. You're under a wide sky on the outskirts of the settlement you'd been hiking to before all of this happened. You managed to make sure nobody would ever be lost to Delta Mulch. It's not clear whether the four of you will be able to ensure that no one else is ever lost to the Earl King and his Koenigswald, but at least for now, the four of you are free.
Can I do one thing before we head to the settlement?
You may.
I feel like Tawny senses that the Earl King was just incredibly lonely and in pain. And as a thank you for not being selfish and for letting us go, Tawny is going to, out of her massive backpack, pull out a huge journal that she's been working on for years and years and years. And it's not like a botanical journal, it's just her diary, basically. All the things she's done, the dreams she's had. And she's going to tuck it in just like a little hole in a tree and tap it and say, "Thank you." And then head back to the others.
Before we leave, Celestine also, who has been thinking, pondering, and come to the temporary conclusion that one thing she can always trust is her home and their practices. And so she wants to make sure that the Arrow King knows this and knows that he was wrong about her. Not in a you were wrong way, but in a here's learning some more way. And she'd like to find a boulder of sorts. It's a European looking forest, so I'm sure there's plenty. And invite everyone also and show everyone, if they don't know how, to make the little furniture and things from fallen and scavenged items to thank for the safe passage for letting them go.
And as you're doing this, I think Benuri sort of wags her tail, and you notice she's holding in her mouth the leather harness that Pfeiffer had taken, ready for you to put it back on.
Oh,
Good, which Celestine happily does, and with a mental note. She's not sure. I mean, he's mind reader, but he's not with him. But he's also with him because he's the forest, so she's not sure. But tries to communicate as much as she can by how lovingly she engages with Benuri, that Benuri and her only belong to each other in the way that family belongs to each other, in the way that Benuri chooses just as actively to be with her as she chooses to be with Benuri. If anything, it's probably more Benuri's choice, and Celestine is just grateful to be on the receiving end of it.
I think Mulch gets like another jar of healing salve and goes, I don't know if the pain is physical, but loneliness can sometimes feel as burning knife. So this one's for you if you ever need it, and puts it like in the tree stump. Hope it hurts a little less. I always hope that as well. I also turn to the rest like, did I fuck up?
No.
Oh, I think Tawny pats Mulch's leg. That's very kind. It's very good.
Okay, because I wasn't getting like, I don't know if he's still around, but yeah, okay. I'm just gonna like sulk, crouch down. I'm still like a
Here.
meter and a half.
You can help me. You can help me fold this leaf into a blanket. Come on.
I would like that.
Yeah, Flo?
Can I put my hand on the ground, and considering that branches and the ground are basically the same color, can I pat around for a fallen small branch?
Yeah, you find it.
Nice.
And as the four of you turn to walk away from your day, the details of which already feel like they're drifting away like a half-forgotten dream, you hear the song that you've heard so many times, whistled by a bird flying overhead. A real bird this time.
Oh, look, Mulch. That's a bird.
Wow. I'm going to keep track of bird facts.
Oh, she's like, what have I started?
Number one, up there.
And I think with that beautiful bird fact, we will end our adventure with the four chroniclers of Mappa Mundi through the Koenigswald. Thank you all so much for playing. That was beautiful and terrifying and wonderful, and I really enjoyed going on that adventure with you all. Thank you, lovely audience, for joining us for this wonderful story. We have been playing Mappa Mundi, created by Three Sails Studios, who are the wonderful sponsors of this stream. Thank you again to our friends at Three Sails Studios. And we have been playing His Smile Sharp as Briar's Edge, an adventure for Mappa Mundi created by Kat the Law Mistress. at the time that this actual play is going out, it is a few days, I believe, until UK Games Expo. The lovely people of Free Sale Studios will be in attendance. So if you would like to pick up a
Mhm.
physical copy of Mappa Mundi, and Angel was right, it is a beautiful book with beautiful artwork, then you can find them there to get yourself a copy. Some of the team at Euphoria will also be at UKGE. So come and join us. Come and say hi. If you're not already part of the Discord, then do join our Discord, and then you can message in the con meetups channel to find out where we're going to be and come and meet some of us. We'd love to meet you. But for now, thank you all so much for being here, and let's just go around one more time and tell the lovely people all about yourself, starting with Emily.
Oh my goodness. So I am Emily Graymore. Thank you so much for listening, watching, being with us on this journey. It's been an absolute wonderful time. You can find me on Blue Sky at Emily Graymore, occasionally on TikTok. You can also see my other work at Unbalanced Encounters if you want to see me do other characters there. And I have a newly released TTRPG called The Cunning Folk as well. Kickstarter is just finished. But find me on socials to know where you can get it when you hear this, because I'm sure that will be different by the time we get there. So, but yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to Angel.
Hi everyone, I'm Angela Moore, aka the cutest patoot. I'm a game designer, podcaster, and multi-hyphenate creator of things and maker of funny voices. You can check out all of my shows on cutestpatoot.carrd.co, including my latest found footage AP that was created and that I came up with and created live on another show of mine 5 minutes before finishing the rest of it, called Love is a Verb, which is also in the link I mentioned before. And if you want to play any of my games, at which we've hit I think, 20 now with the last release.
Ooh.
So very exciting and very affordable. So please go check them out at cutestpatoot.h.io, which is also the handle for my Blue Sky, which is where I talk primarily about things that don't pertain to anything that I'm working on, but sometimes things that I'm working on.
Thank you. Luyou.
Hi, my name's Luyou. I have nothing to plug. If you want to find me, search the wide and storied internet. I would like to plug and say thank you to our safety facilitator, Darcy,
Yes.
and the folks at Euphoria. That's it.
Thank you.
Shout out.
And Ruben.
Hi, I'm Ruben Fernand. I have one thing to plug. I forget all the time. I wrote a game at one point, a TTRPG, together with Nathan Blades, friend of the show and frequent collaborator. It is called Iera Entera, which is, I think, Greek for divine entrails, a game about hunting self-replicating divine beasts and to then use their component parts to create a lovely meal gathering feast for a community.
Amazing. And I am Michelle Kelly. I am an actor, singer, voice actor, game designer, AP performer. I'm doing it all. Multi hyphenate's a good word, Angel. I'm stealing it. You can find me on social media and things at Michellecopter. You can find my tiny games at michellecopter.itch.io. And I am also a member of staff here at Euphoria. Thank you so much for watching this Euphoria stream. Please do support us in any way that you can, whether that's following us on social media, giving a like to our YouTube VODs, following us here on Twitch, or if you want to throw some pennies towards this channel to help cover the costs of running all of these games, then we have a Patreon, and we would greatly appreciate any support you can give. We always have lots of extra fun bonus content. You know that Luyou referenced some art, and you know I'm going to be like, hey Luyou, how about I put that art on the Patreon? So I'm sure that'll be going up soon.
Let's go!
Yes.
So yeah, we already know there's going to be some exciting bonus content from this game on that Patreon. So if that's something that's within your capabilities to do, we'd very much appreciate it. But any kind of support is so valued, including you being here to watch today. So thank you very much. Stay safe in the woods, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.